August 8, 2021, Camp Nou press room. Lionel Messi walks down to the podium. One microphone, hundreds of cameras, no script in front of him. He opens his mouth to speak and nothing comes out. His face just folds. This is a guy who's spent 20 years refusing to waste a single unnecessary movement on a football pitch, and right now he can't control his own face. He's crying because Barcelona, the club that raised him, literally cannot afford to keep him. Not that they don't want to. The accounting doesn't work anymore. 24 hours later, he's standing in Paris, in front of 47,000 people who paid money to watch a man sign a piece of paper. A free transfer. The best player alive. Transfer fee, 0. Attention generated, hundreds of millions of dollars. Why does a free signing move markets like a blockbuster? The player with no price. Footballers are supposed to be valued like footballers. Clubs buy them, develop them, sell them on, and the market price is the gap. Messi broke that model twice in one summer. Barcelona couldn't register him at any price. La Liga's wage cap rules blocked it even after he agreed to take a 50% pay cut. Then PSG picked him up for nothing and reportedly made the money back in shirt sales within a day. So a player too expensive for one club becomes free for the next one. And somehow that's the more profitable move. If this were normal football economics, none of that adds up. So what was actually being priced here if it wasn't him? Greatness isn't enough. Barcelona wasn't the first club to employ Lionel Messi, and it won't be the last organization to profit from his name. That's what makes the situation so strange. Most athletes become valuable because of the institutions around them. The club gives them the platform. The league gives them visibility. The sponsors give them reach. But by 2021, something unusual had happened. Messi seemed to be carrying some of that value himself. When Barcelona lost him, the attention didn't disappear. The sponsorships didn't disappear. The commercial demand didn't disappear. They moved with him. Almost as if the most valuable part of Messi had never belonged to Barcelona in the first place. And if that's true, then what exactly did Barcelona lose? The second Messi. Go back to 2016. Messi and his father, Jorge, are convicted of tax fraud for routing income from Messi's image rights through a network of shell companies to avoid Spanish taxes. That part isn't in dispute. Underneath it, though, is a structure that predates the conviction entirely. Jorge Messi, who has run his son's business affairs since Leo was a teenager and rarely speaks about it publicly, had already split Messi the footballer, paid a salary by whichever club he's at from Messi the name, a property owned privately and licensed out for a fee. The conviction was the embarrassing part. The separation was the real move. Why would a kid from Rosario need a private company just to own his own name? While the world was watching him score goals, someone inside his camp was quietly building something far more durable. Who owns Messi? The real move wasn't happening on the pitch, it was happening on paper. Somewhere along the way, Messi stopped being just a footballer and became something else entirely, a name that could exist independently of any club that employed him. Every image rights deal, every licensing fee, every commercial use of the name Messi anywhere in the world ran through that private structure, separate from whatever club was paying his match wages that season. A salary is something a club can cap, tax, or cut in a bad year. A name held privately is something the family owns outright, whether he's playing in Barcelona or sitting on a bench in Miami. Barcelona could cap his wages, nobody could cap his name. But owning your name is one thing. Turning it into influence over Apple, Adidas, and an entire American sports league is something else entirely. The Miami contract. July 2023, Messi doesn't sign with a European giant for one last payday. He signs with Inter Miami, a club that had finished bottom of its conference the year before. On paper, that's a downgrade for a player at his level. Buried in the deal, according to multiple reports at the time, a cut of Apple's revenue from its MLS Season Pass streaming service, a share of Adidas's MLS merchandise sales, and reportedly an option to take an ownership stake in the club itself once he retires. No European superclub had ever handed a player equity in a broadcaster's product. Apple restructured how it sold an entire league around one 36-year-old. He didn't take a pay cut to go to Miami. By most accounts, he took equity instead of salary. What was Apple actually buying if not a footballer past his prime? The Apple question. Here's where you can actually see it happen. July 21st, 2023. Messi's Inter Miami debut. He starts on the bench, comes on in the second half, and in stoppage time, with the game tied, he curls a free kick into the top corner. Last kick of the match. The bench empties before the ball even hits the net. Apple reportedly logged its biggest single-day sign-up spike for MLS season pass in the hours right after that free kick landed. And that's the interesting part. The goal lasted a few seconds. The effect lasted much longer. For 20 years, Messi had built something very few athletes ever managed to build. A name people paid attention to wherever it went. So when he arrived in Miami, they followed. Millions of people who had never paid attention to MLS suddenly had a reason to care. Apple wasn't buying goals, it was buying access to one of the most valuable names in sport. And when that many people start paying attention, the numbers begin to move. Broadcasters pay attention, sponsors pay attention, teams become more valuable. That's why Inter Miami's valuation has reportedly surged since his arrival. One free kick didn't create all of that. It simply exposed what had been building for decades. One free kick, one moment, and suddenly you can see the entire machine working. Can that keep working once the man himself starts to slow down? When the legs go. By 2024, the questions get louder. He's 37. Hamstring injuries keep pulling him out of the lineup. Inter Miami, after all the hype, gets knocked out of the playoffs early. Critics start calling the whole move a well-paid retirement tour dressed up as ambition. Argentina's 2022 World Cup win starts to feel further away. Attention has a shelf life. Sponsors move on to whoever's next. If this structure is real, this is exactly where it should start cracking, right alongside his legs. What happens when the body slows down but the name doesn't? The name kept growing. Here's the part that shouldn't be true but seems to be. His output has visibly dropped. Games missed a yard slower, goals per 90 down from his Barcelona peak. And yet Apple's MLS arrangements have reportedly only expanded. Adidas's Messi product lines kept selling through his injury stretches. Inter Miami's valuation kept climbing while he was out injured, not just while he was scoring. His football was slowing down. The value attached to his name wasn't, which tells you the empire was never really priced on the football to begin with. It was priced on 20 years of proving, over and over again, that when the moment arrived, he would deliver. That reputation now moves almost independently of how he plays on any particular Tuesday night. Maybe the thing everyone thought they were paying for was never the player at all, more than a player. Looking back, the pattern becomes hard to miss. Most people spend their lives building a career. A company hires them, a contract defines their value. And when that contract ends, most of that value stays behind. Messi spent decades building something different. While the world focused on goals, trophies, and records, another version of Messi was quietly taking shape. Not the footballer, the name. A name that could move between clubs without losing its value. A name that could outlast contracts. A name that no employer could ever fully own. That's why Barcelona losing Messi was never just about football. They lost the player, but they never owned the thing that mattered most. Because players retire, contracts expire, careers come to an end, a name doesn't. And in the end, that name became more valuable than any employer attached to it. The next mechanism. Messi's story was about ownership, about protecting something no club could ever take away. But ownership is only one form of power. Sometimes power comes from controlling the image itself, controlling the narrative, controlling how the world sees you before anyone else gets the chance. Next time we'll examine a different mechanism, not ownership, control, and how the future face of a sport started shaping his brand, his image, and his career on his own terms. Human alpha.